Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clay, and I am the Bucks believer. Today, we saw the Bucks suffer a 128 to 115 loss at the hands of the Memphis Grizzlies, and this L has me feeling pretty frustrated. In general, I like to think of myself as an optimistic person. I think that it's best to go through life by having a positive outlook on just about everything you do, and that is especially true when it comes to my Milwaukee Bucks fandom. That can be evidenced by the title of my YouTube channel. I like to call myself the Bucks believer, and I really do believe in this team. But just because I'm a generally optimistic person about the Bucks doesn't mean that I'm not going to have pessimistic moments. And tonight, I am certainly feeling quite negatively about my favorite team. We saw the Bucks come out tonight and just play with a much lower level of energy than a Memphis Grizzlies team that happened to be on the second night of a back-to-back and is in general just a lot less talented than the Bucks. Well, you wouldn't have guessed it based on tonight's product because the Bucks were outplayed in just about every single area of the game against a Grizzlies team that clearly just wanted to win this game more than the Bucks did. And this seems to happen far too frequently with this Bucks team. There are so many lapses throughout the season where they just lose games that don't make sense. They're not games that they should be losing. And yet, that's still the result that ends up coming away from these games. The Bucks were not able to take advantage of the Grizzlies blitzing every single pick and roll action they ran. Usually when a team is playing that aggressively, NBA level players are able to take advantage of it and find wide open teammates for some easy shots. And that did not happen for the Bucks offense, as instead they had live ball turnover after live ball turnover that allowed run out after run out for the Grizzlies. And Dillon Brooks really kind of encapsulated what the Grizzlies were able to do in this game. He was all over the place, forcing offensive miscues from the Bucks, allowing himself to get to the basket and getting some really emphatic tip-in dunks, one of which was over Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it left me and my dad questioning how in the world did he do that. Brooks finished with 21 points on 9 for 15 shooting, but it felt like he did so much more than that because he was just all over the place. He was playing with such a high level of energy, and while he did make some mistakes that were a bit costly for the Grizzlies, in general he was a huge positive for them because that energy with which he was playing was so huge to what this team was doing, and it seemed like the rest of the team was just able to feed off of that and play with the same level of energy that Dillon did. The Bucks could have needed a Dillon Brooks in this game. I guess that's all I'm trying to say because he had so much energy and he made this Grizzlies team look like they were better than a Bucks team that, in my opinion, should be regarded as one of the favorites to win the Eastern Conference. The Grizzlies also killed the zone look that the Milwaukee Bucks threw at them. The Grizzlies are usually one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA, and that just simply wasn't true tonight, as the Grizz shot 15 for 40 from beyond the three-point arc, which equals 37.5%. That's a really solid mark from beyond the three-point line, and Grayson Allen in particular was really able to light up the Bucks from three as he made 7 of his 10 three-pointers en route to scoring 26 points. Xavier Tillman was also able to exploit the zone as he got to those spots in the middle of the zone where there's an opening, and he was lethal on his floater shot as he made floater after floater over Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the guys that were usually playing in the bottom part of that zone. Tillman had 15 points on 7 for 10 shooting and was really a large reason why that Bucks zone was not able to work. The fact that the Bucks went to that zone also took away from what they were able to do on the offensive end of the court because Bobby Portis really doesn't fit in great in that type of zone look. Portis only played 9 minutes today, which is probably one of his 5 or so lowest marks for the entire season, and that absence was felt on the offensive end of the court, where the Bucks just didn't have the scoring punch to keep up with this Grizzlies team that was just knocking down shot after shot. Jonas Valanciunas was also able to have a really huge game tonight, as it felt like whenever the Grizzlies got the ball to him in the post, he was able to go to town on Brook Lopez and get some really easy shots for himself. Valanciunas was very efficient, making 7 of his 10 shots from the field, and he also scored 17 points. So a really nice game from Valanciunas, and I think that there's a debate that could be made that he's the best player on this Grizzlies team over Ja Morant. Ja did make 3 3-pointers in this game, but for the most part, he was kind of invisible, as there were other players on the Grizzlies, like some of the guys I've talked about already, in Brooks, Allen, Tillman, and Valanciunas, as well as guys like Desmond Bane and John Conchar, that really stepped up their play and elevated this Grizzlies team to the point where they were able to beat the Bucks. Really, the only reason why the Bucks were able to keep this game close was because they shot 27 free throws while the Grizzlies shot just 12 of those. And while that is usually going to be true when you have a one-man wrecking crew like Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team, the Bucks still lost by 13 points despite having a 10-point advantage from the free throw line alone. Giannis actually had a pretty good game, which was certainly good to see, as this was just his second game after returning from what was a knee injury that kept him out for about 6 games. But Giannis had 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists in this game, while making 10 of his 18 shots from the field and 8 of his free throws. So a good game from Giannis. He was still a little limited in terms of his minutes, as he played just 29. I assume we'll see him jumping back into the low to mid 30s very soon, probably against Phoenix on Monday. But that Phoenix game on Monday, I'll tell you this, if the Bucks play the way they did tonight, that game is not going to go well whatsoever, even if the Suns did just get crushed by the Spurs tonight. But Giannis also turned the ball over 4 times, and that's something that usually cannot happen with him. And the Grizzlies' aggressive defensive scheme really got to him a little bit, and there were times where he was just not able to get shots up. The Grizzlies were able to force jump balls, or they were able to strip the ball away as he tried to go up with it, and that led to some easy runouts for players like Kyle Anderson and Dillon Brooks. Bryn Forbes also had a nice game for the Bucks, and really the entire starting lineup did. While some of the guys like Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez were inefficient from the field, as both of those guys went just 5 for 13, each and every one of the Bucks starters was able to score 16 points or more. Forbes was the second leading scorer behind Antetokounmpo, which was good to see from him, as it's always nice when he can chip in some extra points, and I think that it would be an interesting idea if, even once Donte DiVincenzo does return from his toe injury, if Forbes was able to stay in the starting lineup. My reasoning for this is that Forbes really seems to play at his best when he's paired with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the court. So to have his minutes offset a little bit with Antetokounmpo's, with Giannis in the starting lineup and Bryn coming off the bench, doesn't make the most sense. I think that Donte could cover up some of Jeff Teague's weaknesses on the defensive end of the court in that bench unit, while Forbes could bring a little bit extra offensive punch to the starting lineup. I'm not saying Forbes should play more minutes than DiVincenzo, because that's not something I believe to be true. I think that overall, Donte should probably be playing between 28 and 30 minutes per game, as he has so far this year, and Forbes should be somewhere closer to the high teens or low 20s. I think that Forbes' value is the highest when he's paired with Giannis, and that's the reason why I think this could be a solid idea for the Bucks. It's not something I can see them doing, as whenever Donte has been healthy this season, he's been in the starting lineup. But I do think that seeing him return to his 6th-man role while having someone like Bryn Forbes who can shoot the ball a little bit better than Donte in the starting lineup could be advantageous. It's not necessarily something I think is going to happen. It also could take away from Donte's confidence, which is not something that we would want to see. Chris Middleton had a decent game. He had 16 points and 10 assists on 5 for 13 shooting. I was ready to talk about Middleton's touch once again leaving him, but then he made 3 of his 4 shots in the fourth quarter and was actually able to help the Bucks kind of hang around and keep this lead for the Grizzlies closer to the 10 to 12 range instead of it getting a little bit out of hand. So I don't have too much negative to say on Chris in this game, especially because he did dish out those 10 assists. And I was especially a fan of the pick and roll that he was running with Giannis, as it led to some wide open 3-pointers off the dribble for Chris and a couple lobs up to Giannis for some slam dunks at the rim. The real issue in this game for the Bucks was the bench. They had just 18 points combined, and that's not going to get it done against a Grizzlies team that pretty much can play 10 guys and not have a huge drop off from their top guy to their 10th guy. I do want to talk about PJ Tucker, who played what I believe to be a Bucks career high for him, 22 minutes. Tucker is similar to Antetokounmpo, coming off of an injury. This was just his third game back, I believe, as he played against Minnesota, Atlanta, and now against Memphis. But Tucker had a decent game, scoring 5 points and grabbing 6 rebounds, 3 of which were offensive rebounds. We're starting to see where he can help this Bucks team out, as he did a solid job of playing his role in the zone and made some pretty good plays on the boards, as some of those rebounds that I mentioned were tough rebounds. Overall, I'm looking forward to seeing Tucker's role increase, and I think that he can really help the Bucks out, especially on defense. Let me know what you thought of this game in the comment section down below. Are you just as frustrated in this Bucks team as I am? Let me know. Hopefully we can see the Bucks bounce back against Phoenix on Monday. If they're able to win that game in convincing fashion, all will be forgiven and I will be feeling much better and much more like my optimistic self. So hopefully the Bucks can come away with a win there. I'm knocking on wood. Let me know what you thought of this game in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, especially if you are a fellow Bucks believer. Usually I'm a lot more positive than I was tonight, so this is the place for you. I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.